Can you get recovery from addiction when you think it's only going to get darker? Today we're going to talk with Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of MyPillow, about this incredible story. But really, we're going to focus on recovery from what keeps you from seeing reality as it is right here on the Patrick Coffin Show. Subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, hit that bell thingy that indicates that you don't have to come shopping for the show. It'll come right to your in basket. So coming up next, Mike Lindell, founder and CEO of MyPillow. Don't go away. As promised, welcome to this episode of the Patrick Coffin Show. I had the pleasure of speaking with Mike Lindell last April. I can't believe how time flies. At that time, we talked about his story and his involvement in the film Unplanned, which is a mega hit around the world. Mike has a cameo in that film. And then I got the book that he wrote, so I wanted to invite him back on. It's called What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. Mike Lindell joins us from his hidden outpost somewhere in Quarantineville. Hey, Mike.
Hey, it's great to be on here again, Patrick. A year flew by.
Yeah, it's astounding. And how much has happened in the last year? I turned my TV on the other day, and there it was as we record this. It's Easter weekend, and you were on the Rose Garden standing next to the President of the United States talking about what MyPillow was doing to be part of the solution. Maybe we can start there. I was really astounded, Mike, at how your critics, our brethren on the left, just use it as an opportunity to either mock your Christian faith or to say that you were just using it as a platform for your company. Tell us about what MyPillow is doing in the realm of U.S.-made face masks to make up the loss.
Right. I'm surprised too. This is actually my 72nd interview since the Rose Garden. And
amazing.
It's been good and bad. But what we did is you got to take you back about 4 weeks, I guess. And my employees, I said, you guys, with this pandemic coming on here, I said, can you guys make a bunch of masks? And they started making different prototypes. And then all of a sudden all my workers in the field that do home shows and fairs around the country, they got shut down. And I said, well, this is going to people are going to need these masks. So I reached out to the vice president's office, and they directed me to Peter Navarro, to a task force that was already set up for the public, for businesses. And I found out what a mask, what the measurements should be. They were very, very helpful and, directing me to different places because I wanted to make sure I didn't make a bunch that were wrong, that didn't work, Well, It turns out we had our own fabric that was exactly what was needed. I just had to change 2 processes on that. I had to get the right elastic. And in the meantime, I had all my employees, I said, let's make this safe for you guys and we converted 75% of our production over to making masks. And we started out, we got up to 10,000 masks in about 3 days. We added a second shift. I added my other companies I deal with that makes part of my bed toppers and part of my tickings. And I added them, and now we're up to about just shy of 40,000 masks a day, and I want to get to 50 and beyond. I just keep raising the bar. And it was, then after we had them all, we were up and running, and then I get invited by the vice president for a round table in D.C. And so I fly out there, but it was kind of strange. They said, Mike, or they said, can you write some remarks? And they got to be pre-approved. And I said, really? So I sent in these, and I didn't, they wanted to know what your company was doing. And so I told them, here's what we're doing with the mask and whatever. Well, I thought we were going to read them in our roundtable. We went to the roundtable event, and we sat there. There were 4 other CEOs, and the vice president, the president came in, and we went around the room, and both of them wanted to know, what are you guys doing? Are other businesses getting involved and all these things? And we went up to leave to go to the Rose Garden. I didn't know we were going to go out there. And the vice president said, I said, how come we didn't read our remarks? He says, oh, you're going to be called up on the podium probably by the president. Mm-hmm. So I thought, wow, what a great time to give a message to the world or the people, a message of hope. And I wrote a bunch of stuff down on it's actually this paper right here.
There it is.
This is my actual notes. Yep. That I put. There was my remarks, and here's the notes. And I was pretty nervous. The president called me up, and after I read my remarks, I said, do you mind if I say something off the cuff? And that's when I read, that we should spend time at home with reading our Bibles now and spending time with our families. And boy, did I get flack for that.
It's amazing. Way out of proportion to what you said.
Right.
If people read the founding documents of this country and read what the first, say, 10 presidents said, it's faith, it's God, it's providence, it's Almighty God, it's God's plan. The DNA of the country is clearly Christian. So you seemed emotional, Mike. You seemed really tired and like you were moved by the chance to get this word out, because it wasn't corporate speak, right?
No, it wasn't corporate speak. And even like my commercials, I do them I make them real. It's hard to script me. If I get scripted, it's all, it's not who I am. I just put I put it out there. I don't, they say, even with my commercials, I get attacked on them too. They'll say, boycott the trolls and bots on Twitter and social media. They'll say, boycott Mike Lindell and MyPillow. And then the other ones will say, don't boycott him. He'll double his ads. We see enough of that guy. Because I'm just going to double down. Okay. But the good things that came up, I heard they're selling Bibles. Bibles are selling out across the country right now. Even stores I don't particularly like. One of them starts with a T and ends with get. And that store, I guess, is sold out of children's Bibles. I mean, so the word got out there, and I just think this is a time of a great revival. Before this pandemic, I always thought I had met with a guy, and we were talking about the biggest problem I seen facing our country at that point was addiction. And I had talked to the president about when I first met him in the summer of 2016. And he said, I said, my passion is to help with addiction. And he said that was his passion too. That's why I always went all in with the president, because of the things we had talked about back then. Yeah. Well, anyway, I was talking to this guy, and I said, how do we get, he said, Mike, how do we get this country back to God? And, and I said, he goes, I think it would take the Great Depression, because people don't reach out for faith unless things are bad. Well, anyway, I said, no, the Great Depression, they had God, they were praying for physical things. I said, we have something even better. We have addiction. Addiction affects everyone, no matter how many forks you eat with. And who's looking for hope and faith more than addicts or their families? And that's what I told him. And then this pandemic hit, and now we even got it more pronounced, like who's looking for hope. So that's the message I gave at the White House, and it's I think the word got out.
I keep saying to people that I'm really picky about pillows. I have a brand myself that I've used for years, very expensive pillows. I won't mention the name, although it is Tempur-Pedic. And right. when I tried my first MyPillow, I'm picky, and I couldn't believe how it was like I felt like my head was being hugged. That was my first great night sleep in a long time. I have the travel version. I'm getting the towel, so I'm happy to extend a listener's discount, by the way. If you go to MyPillow, my name, Patrick, Patrick, gets you a Patrick Hoffman Show discount. And if you're sitting there with a pen, here's the number. It's 800-794-9652. 800-794-9652, mypillow.com. Patrick gets you the discount. Mike, thanks for making
I'm
these things.
Tell you what we'll do. I'm going to tell you what we'll do today, Patrick. We have all these products on there, from my sheets to the new duvet covers. We'll do for you guys a buy one, get one free on all those products. So
okay,
we have a whole bunch of buy one, get one free special we're going to run today for you.
Okay, great. Now, just we didn't pre-rehearse this.
No,
you
we
didn't know
didn't.
I was going to bring this up.
I was going to surprise you.
I'm also kind of allergic to scripts as well. So thank you for that. Let me talk about the opening anecdote that begins your book, What Are the Odds? I just watched again the Frank Darabont movie, Shawshank Redemption. And your opening anecdote about, it sounds like that you in Mexico, flying down from where you were, looking for drugs and mayhem and relief from all your stress, it sounds like that was pretty close to your rock bottom. What you were willing to risk to get yourself in the position where you can get that cocaine hit.
Oh, I had been in many situations, many guns to my head, but that was another trip with me and my wife at the time, and another couple, and we, my focus was always on the cocaine, and I ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they were gonna these guys went to cut my head off, and I grabbed a sword. I said, I'm not buying this sword. I said, I'm not buying the sword or whatever. And the guy goes, the other guy goes, Senor, he doesn't want to sell you a sword. He wants to cut off your head. And I was caught between two cartel wars as a tourist, and things like that. You know, there was a part of that where it's the scariest moment of my life, and it's in the book. And it wasn't when he first put the sword to my throat. And it wasn't, you know, I had parachute not open. I had guns to my head. I've had 14 near-death experiences. But that moment you're talking about, it came moments after that, which I can still feel that in every part of me, even though it was, 15, whatever, 12 years ago.
It reads like a movie treatment, like the pre-document before you get to a script. And if someone took the Mike Lindell story as a fictional story to a Hollywood executive, they would probably laugh them out of the office because there's too many unlikely things that all line up together. You mentioned your parachute mishap. That was on the same day as a motorcycle accident, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, I was actually going skydiving. I was 17 years old, and I didn't have a license to drive the motorcycle. I had just gotten all these tickets out running the police on it a couple weeks earlier. And but I wanted to make it was my 9th jump, and if I jumped it, then I could finally free fall where it was pulled static line from the plane. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving my motorcycle. I was working three jobs at the time: a drive-in movie theater, a grocery store, and I had this other part-time job too. Well, but I was so tired, I fell asleep on the motorcycle, crashed it, and it was slid down the ditch. I rolled down the road, and I'm all banged up, and I was so determined. I'm going, to get down and skydive. I'm all banged up, and I drive down there, and I get down there, and I had to pack my own chute. It was a 28-foot chute or a 35-foot chute. 160 pounds was the cutoff. I even packed my own chute, but I was so tired, I must have made a mistake. And we jumped, I jumped, and the chute had a streamer where it's a big blob up there, and you're supposed to get rid of it and dump it. Well, I didn't dump it, and part of it blew open and started spinning me, which made my altimeter not blow my reserve opener. I would have died for sure. Yeah. Well, I hit the ground. They figure 50 or 60 miles an hour, and I was knocked out. And the next thing I remember is the jump master and these other guys waking me up, going, you're okay, stay down, stay down. And all I could think of was what that judge had told me, the probation I was on. And so I get up, and I'm all banged up for the motorcycle and the parachute. And I jumped in that. I said, the guys, well, you didn't dump. I said, you don't get it. I'm not coming back. I got in that motorcycle. I actually passed the old fashioned ambulances and stuff coming in. And it was a very small town in Minnesota. I had an hour ride home. I said, God, if you get me home, I'm never going to jump out of an airplane or ride a motorcycle again. And there's a picture of it in the book. I got it home. The motorcycle kind of fell apart. Never rode one since. Never jumped out of an airplane again.
Yeah, all the travails have photographic evidence in the book. I'll mention this too. If you order Mike's book, and I practically read for a living. The book's called "What Are the Odds: From Crack Addict to CEO." If you order that book, your whole MyPillow order will ship for free, and you'll get a $25 gift card for your next purchase. So as I say, I love stories. I love a good yarn, and normally I'll read the heart of a book. Mike, I read every chapter. And if we had 9 hours, I could chat. I've got 9 hours worth of questions on it. But I wanted to press the rewind button a little bit and go back to what reads in your narrative as a real, what I would call a quiet heartache. You don't really go into the cause of it, but it's the day in 1968 when your mother said, "All right, kids, we're leaving."
Right.
Bring us back to that. Where were you going from, and where were you going to, and if and why?
Right. I was 7 years old, and my parents. That was the last time I see my dad as a family unit. My mom divorced him and brought us to a new school 2 hours away. And back then, divorces weren't common. I was the only kid in the school come from a divorced family, and it was very awkward. I felt like I didn't fit in, and I would either do stuff to show off, like, "Hey, watch me jump out this bus window," or I would be very reserved. I would be very shy, and this carried with me for a long time. All the way through addiction, even when I went to a bar later on in my life, and owning the bar, a stranger would come in. If there was none of my friends in there and I was straight, I'd say, "Hey, just let me know if you need anything else. And I'd be in the corner going, oh, would you please leave? I thought I didn't like small talk.
Hey, this is Patrick Coffin. If you like what you see and hear and you want to see and hear more, consider joining Coffin Nation as a full member. Just click right here and find out more about what that means. Nipsey, my fedora. That's Coffin Nation, the world's largest online community of culture builders. Click right here. See you on the inside.